So there's an evolution happening, and that's what I want to bring forth today on my intuitive insights with Mama Michelle. Welcome to my channel. And I had a very wonderful moment, and that's really how this happens, is that there's just these moments of brightness in my collective and the collective that we all can tap into. And the brightness was there's an evolution happening, not a revolution, because an evolution is a more personal construct. It's a more personal construct of who you are and what you came here to be. And in this moment, we are all having to rise up. We're all having to take a look at who am I and where am I headed to? What is it? What is the objective of my life? Not just what is the objective of what I'm doing. But although there's going to be such a expansion about what people are doing with their life purposes. This is part of the evolution of who you are, and that your soul is now ready to take forward the next step into. This is what I came here to be a part of. This is what I came here to grow and expand upon. And here are my gifts that I need to share to the world. And what they are sharing with me is that how it is that we're all going to be proceeding into the future in the next several years as we are all kind of tearing down these old ways of our thoughts and our beliefs, some paradigms that need to be looked at, and really giving the power back to the people, which means it's you taking your own power back. And as we evolve through these energies that are currently disrupting a lot of ways in which we have done things or looked at things, the idea is that sometimes we have to, as a collective, walk through things so that we can make it better as people, and that we take our power back to say, I have sovereignty over who I am and how I'm expressing and how I'm loving and how I'm showing up. No one can take that away. And somebody who believes in the idea of growing, right? You wouldn't be listening to this channel if you didn't believe in this, the power of who you are and the growth and the gifts that you came here to share with the world. But an evolution means that we're all looking at ourselves. We are taking up the mirror and we're saying, what is the biggest fear? What is the thing that I seem to perpetually get stuck on? What is the events in my life that seem to come out of nowhere that kind of jar me or take me away? Or what is the focus that you've had for a really long period of time that has not found its way into your creation in this lifetime? There's so many different ways they're saying that we can look at how we're here to evolve ourselves as human beings. But because when we start to look at the mirror, when we start to adjust who it is that we think we are, and instead moving forward on who we know we are, which is just love, that's what we all are. There's no exception to that, but it can get muted, it can get tainted, and it can feel like a big cloud that you have to walk through to find that version of yourself. And now is the time that we have to start taking ourselves by the hand, asking what you believe in, your guides, God, the universal force of all living things, the divine energy, and saying to ourselves, help me walk through this. Help me to walk through any clouds that I have, because I realize now that the clouds are just noise. The clouds are things that want to keep me, so I'm just looking at the cloud and not walking through it, right? So all that noise and all of that, um, the thoughts that I can't do this, or I've tried before, or what is my passion? It doesn't really matter. Like all of the things that we, is in our human suits, ways in which we try to keep ourselves smaller, is the fog. And they're saying we're at the point where, in order for humanity to evolve, we are all looking at our fogs. And so those that are willing to be the adventurers, the ones who are willing to look through and walk through it anyways, by taking divine, lovingly actions. And that's the difference. Are the actions love? Because love is only connected to passions. And so in human design, what we're always discussing is this idea of everybody following their passions, at least giving it energy, at least looking at it, at least giving it its best effort in every day that you are alive to step more into that passion, right? And so when we give ourselves permission to, when we give permission to ourselves to take a step into the thing that feels the most loving, the thing that feels more expansive, and it can be the thing that feels more frightening. Because what I do see and what they're sharing with even me in my own personal life, the more that I take steps in things that I've avoided or I haven't wanted to deal with, or I thought was so little or minuscule, the more I take steps in it, because there seems to be this connection and there seems to be this passion behind it, but I can't see through the fog yet. Evolution of our souls are happening in the now. They've always been happening in the now, but it feels more poignant right now. It feels as if they're saying that if you don't take the steps, then you can get stuck behind that veil of fear. And then you live in the victimhood from here on out through the eternities. And I personally don't want to see anyone do that. I want everyone to walk through whatever that shadow is for yourselves and to evolve. Okay, so pivoting the conversation and asking them more about, to reveal more about, what does the evolution look like? And so for each person who's listening to this, the evolution probably here is going to start with, what is the biggest fear that you have currently that is swarming around you? And becoming more cognizant of what that fear is, allowing that fear to have its voice within you for a moment. Because in truth, fears run quietly in the background for many of us. Sometimes they're really out there, but there's also this level of fear that's just quietly operating behind the scenes. And they're saying that this one is the one that they want you to kind of bring forward to give it voice. And some people say, oh, I don't fear anything. Okay, so then use different words. What are you anxious about? What are you feeling overwhelmed about? What is the thing that keeps popping up over and over in your reality that you are kind of like, okay, I thought I worked through this? That could be a statement some of you are making. What, I've already worked through this. Why does this keep popping up? Why have I not taken the steps I need to do? Give it its voice. Take a moment. Now, we're not taking years and weeks. We don't need to do that anymore. We had to do that before to get in touch with our emotions. Most people who are listening to this understand their emotions. They understand the wisdom that's behind it. And they also understand that an emotion leaves. It's not a permanent state. Emotions have waves to them. Emotions have timelines basically to them. And so once you have identified what the fear, overwhelm, anxiousness, the same trip up is happening, and you write it out and you give it voice, and they're strongly encouraging you to write it out. And when you write it out, it gives you an opportunity to be with it, to acknowledge it. And when we acknowledge something that we're fearful of, it no longer holds over us the fog. The fog is gone because you've written it out. Sometimes when you write it out, you may experience like, well, that's really not a big deal. Isn't that funny? I was holding on to that for so long. Or, I think I've over exaggerated that. Or, ooh, this is a big one. This is a really big one. There's going to be different levels to all of it as you bring the one that's in the background forward. So then the evolution begins, because then you have to ask yourself the question, am I going to live behind this fear, or am I going to take a step through it? And you may feel it in your body. I hope you feel it in your body. I hope you can identify where you feel it in your body. And you're going to say to yourself, the fear talking. That is the limitation speaking. But I have evolved enough now that I know I can take the step. And what happens when I take the step is sometimes that voice will get really loud at the last second before you firmly take the step. So don't be afraid of that. Know that, ooh, this is a signal that I really did need to work through this. Because right before you take that first step, it will be so loud. That's how we're evolving through the fears that are really steeped in planet Earth. It's a duality planet. And some of the fears that we have still been holding on to are fears that are um, no longer need to have more energy placed into it. So give yourself a moment to work through whatever fears they are. Use any tool that you have in your tool belt. Give yourself a moment to work on this. A lot of us are still in this factoid of thinking that we can't take the time to slow down to do these things, but these things do not take a long period of time. That again is part of the shadow, part of the fog that has rolled in to say, let's keep you all here because it doesn't want you to look at it because it means change. But if you understand that every change, when you find the thing that it's helped you to grow on or expand upon, even if you didn't want to, there was always an expansion when we walk through a fear or an evolution of things. What is it that it helped you expand on? What is it that it helped you grow? You came here to grow. You didn't come here to sit vitally by and say, Kumbaya, everything's awesome and great. You came here to evolve into this magnificent person, utilizing her gifts and talents, utilizing the fear, but in a really positive way. So this is your ding, ding, ding. So much love here for you all. And they really want us all to recognize that there is such beauty and grace on its way every time you step through it. And by the way, even when you step through it, there will be sometimes that voice that will try to sneak up again. And it's what you do in that moment with what it's trying to sneak attack, coming through the back door again. It's what you do with that becomes more impactful. Because if you start to see that pattern within yourself, then you can recognize, oh, it means that what I just walked through and my new belief and my new structure, my new evolution is my new truth. And so when something is sneaking in to try to push me backwards again, I can recognize how important that step was. And then I can help to anchor and evolve in a more confident way that what I just walked through was the important thing. It was the thing that I should have been focusing on in the moment. Mm. Let me know how that resonates with you. Let me know if this message was of benefit. And as always, just sending anyone who is in this space so much love. And if you need any support, please feel free to leave a comment below.